Frankie goes to Hollywood. Hey, yo, Frankie. Frankie.
Now that's Huggie Pacino certified.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist. With more facts, less opinions. Humorous, outspoken. I present my devotion. Overly dedicated. I ride my own wave. This path I ride, no one gave. Since 2012, this has been my lane. My life has been amazing. From gunshots to having a baby. Memphis is the city that made me. Being intimidated growing up never fazed me. I got friends and relatives laying in the grave. Product of the hood, but the good guy I prayed to be. Never learned to love until love found me. What you know about growing up as a kid and water in your cereal or syrup and sugar sandwiches and peanut butter that tears your bread or government cheese or every Friday night you ate lunch meat. See, I know about that life. I know about running home, not from being bullied, but making sure the bully didn't bully me and end my life. Crossfire kids die every other day where I'm from. See, I earned these stripes and learned what's right. And knowledge does reign supreme is what KRS taught me. And I studied the 120 lessons in the biblical text. And what do you know about Ramadan, fasting, eating dates for a special day? See, I have so much more to say. And that's why I built this lane, to give you all this perpendicular perspective of prosperity, and through the proper conversation we should come to a compromisation. The dialogue amongst my people is lost, and that's what I present. So let's talk. I'm honest, undeniably great with the gift of intelligence, everlasting, professionally accounting currency and numerous options. That means oh, God. See, rewind, I gotta start all over. Ain't this a bitch? Okay, let's start over. What's going on? Trying something new, y'all. I was saying it with the mic off, so I'm trying something new here, and I forgot to cut the mic on. Yeah, I just got the taste screen. The fucking mic was off. The fucking mic was off, so now the mic is on. And I was just saying how this shit is so fucking new that it's still a test run. I mean, I'm not gonna hold y'all up too long. I gotta be at work at 3 o'clock. But I do want to share this video I saw. Y'all subscribe to the Tupac Hoax Reveal. So let's start over. It's from the very beginning. Alright, one more time. Mic is on. Yeah, I see the mic on now. Alright, Simply Made. How you doing? Gleecel, how you doing? Fire Goddess. Rex C. Mike G. Chasing True. Pam M. Wax Doll, what's going on with you, bro? That's Needed. Young Jay, what's up with you, my guy? Judith Ann, how you doing? I want to say that name. I'm going to take a shot at that last name, right? Let's see if I can get it right. Bonacorsi? Did I say it right? I hope so. Alright, so anyway, Lamar Brand TV. What's up with Lamar Brand TV? What's going on with you, bro? I just saw you at Applebee's, bro. You threw it already? Goddamn. Who else we here? And I think that's it. Oh, Christina just showed up. How you doing, Christina? I said it. See, I'm good. I'm good with, pronunciating names. I try my best. So look, alright, so I'm letting it be known that there will be no more Google Hangout lives. Okay. Now, what I will show you all is this. I'm gonna give y'all a little rundown. Alright. We won't be doing lives via Hangouts, but I will allow Google Hangouts to be made in this format. Alright? I'm going to show y'all what I mean by this format, okay? For example, I'm going to show y'all how this works. That way y'all be familiar with it. Alright? Alright, here we go. Join by link. Alright, boom. Hit okay. For example, I'm going to call myself in, right? Alright, now what happens is, so I'm able to see something here. I don't want to cut that off. I want to take that, flip that, chop that, boom. Alright. And what I want to do, web page. Alright. And the web page layout. There we go. Copy, paste, new source. Okay, and copy it. Okay, let's copy it again. Like, well, I'm asking you, and that's why I contact. If you've been on. The hell is that? That's the wrong thing. The hell? Is this truly a mental illness? Of course it is. I can tell. Oh gosh, I mean, you can listen to them and tell they got mental problems. When I hear Stronger say that. How do I stop that? I want to stop that and do this a certain way. Anyway, well, we'll get into that because I do know how to open the Hangout where I can start my own group and bring people in where they're able to discuss anything. But it's not going to be a live version. It's going to be where I can put it up here If you look to this way over here, because I got to make sure I show it the correct. When you look this way to that way, it's gonna pop up here, and it's gonna be able to interact with the live that way. You'll be able to do visual or audio, and it'll be up here in the corner. I gotta get used to doing this. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to eliminate the idea of Google Hangouts. That way, if people are being hacked, you don't have to worry about any of that, whether it be me or anybody for that matter. So what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of that. Go get Julio and bring him to the cam. Not right now. I'm in here. I will get him when we over. We got a little time. Yeah, the Hangout doesn't have to be live. It's been done before. Yeah, exactly. So what I want to share with y'all is a video that I saw on the Tupac Hoax Reveal channel. If you haven't seen the video, it's 30 minutes long. It's actually 2 hours long, but he chopped it down. So he kind of like chopped it down to the very important parts. But I will also put a link out if you want to watch the whole entire video. Also, hold on. Oh, Pimpalicious. See, the live feed is up there. So we got the live feed and we got the chat room up here too. So the chat room can also be shown up here. As you can see, we get to scroll up and down as well on the screen. So everybody can shout themselves out. This is how I should have did it, but I'm doing it by my phone because I'm so new to this shit. And as you can see here, boom. See that? So everyone in the chat room say hello. You still can be seen on the screen as well. But we're going to get right into this video because I don't want to hold up too long. What's going on, Michelle? And what I'll do is I'll pause between to get certain things that I probably want to say. But I'm going to say as less as possible because the video is self-explanatory. So, you ready? Let's go.
Mind control and social engineering has been successfully applied to the deconstruction of the Black American population. Now, we understand these methods were used on all groups and populations in the nation.
Do me a big favor. If y'all have any problems seeing the screen, let me know. I can make it as big as I possibly can, or I could just remove the chat altogether and make the screen bigger. But I'm pretty sure you should be able to see it. I can see it on my phone, so I know y'all can see it on every other device. So everything should be good. Can y'all see the visual of the video and everything? Everything good? I'll take that as a yes. We'll keep going.
Not just the black, yet extra measures were taken in particular on the black race. And we are going to
Analyze those, analyze the methods by breaking down their administration according to decade, starting in the 60s, going into the 70s, 80s, 90s, and up into our current day and age. This cyclical and chronological understanding of mind control and its predatory nature will give you a much clearer sense of why the black population is where it is today and why it functions as it does. Where are our leaders? Where are these celebs at when thousands of black men are being killed in their own communities? Chicago, for instance. Why do they conveniently ignore the giant elephant in the room? Why don't you see these different artists and celebrities and basketball players and football players and athletes, why don't you see them supporting any type of group in their own communities to fight the violence? Why don't you see these people in Chicago on the streets changing the environment? Why don't we see this? They're so quick to run to this Black Lives Matter organization protests and support all of these large government scale organizations, yet they can't support their small grassroots communities that need the most help. Why? Let's think about this, because this dichotomy sheds some serious light on what's really going on. See, these leaders, these celebrities, these activists, these intellectuals, these politicians, these entertainers, they're not who you think they are, because they have separated themselves from their community and joined a new one. They are gatekeepers for the elite structure now, and they have always been. They pretend to care for the black population only when it is in the interests of the elite agenda, the program, the great work, the magnum opus. Shall we make more connections? Think about it. Are not all these so-called leaders and celebs fraternal and sisterhood members? Let's look at Oprah. Isn't she an Eastern Star? We can look at the history of black culture creation to recognize that these things have always been this way. The black elite, or talented 10th, if you want to go back to Du Bois, who was a Boule member, a secret society, high black elite gatekeeper. The celeb class, whatever you wish to call them, they have always been used as a device to arrest the development of their own people, all for fame, security, and abundant wealth at the expense of others. These figures have been used to sell false dreams, false hope, and pigeonhole blackness within fixed categories, limited by labels and stereotypes, all by design. All in the purpose of division, divide, and control. So how did we get here?
By the way, that kid you just saw with that gun, he's from my city. If y'all remember the story where he was a kid and he was carrying guns and he was talking about, you know, all type of shit, and they was wondering where his parents were. Well, that boy is like 17, 18 now. And he's not a baby no more. He calls himself baby CEO, but he's not a baby no more. And he really about that life. You know what I'm saying? Nothing fake about it. You know what I mean? And he from out here. So, of course, it's the idea of no fathers in the home, things of that nature. But it's a deeper meaning. This is what this documentary was about. I just thought I'd let it be known that he's from here and I'm familiar with that young guy. So let's continue.
Isn't it surprising that the black population has had exponential growth since the 1970s in a downward spiral? Residual culture decay that has been non-stop since about 1965. Prison rates have stayed on the rise. Murder rates have fluctuated but still begin to rise. Prison rates. Okay, that's the main thing we need to talk about here. Prison rates peaked in the 90s after a steady gradual growth from the 70s. Let's begin in the late 60s, where it all started. First off, we have to understand that there's a giant mind control program that we're all familiar with. This program was used on everybody, every race, all creeds. No one was safe from these things. But when you're the group that's at the bottom, and you're kept at the bottom, the effect is going to be much higher on these groups because they are much more vulnerable. And this has always been the position of the black population. So let's look into it. There's two main avenues we need to address: the arresting development and the culture identity creation. There was the heroin epidemic in the 70s. There was Vietnam, PTSD, and poverty. All these things struck the black population heavily. People came back from the war hooked on heroin, passing that on to their families.
MAK is a Boule member, and he was a Freemason. And I don't know if he was CIA, but I know he was a Freemason, and he was a Boule member. That's what a lot of people don't even want to accept. Him, Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al, majority of your black leaders were all a part of the game. So a lot of people don't like to talk about. They don't even like to mention it because it tarnishes the imagery of black leadership.
Destroying the father and the mother and the child, all in one swift single blow. The counterculture had a huge movement called free love. All right, this free love movement goes back to the 19th century. Some hard hitters were the Summer of Love in '67, the Stonewall Gay Rights of '69, the French Socialist Uprising of '68, and the Black Nationalist peak of the Black Panther group in '66, and the peak in 1970. So we have to understand that all these movements, all these events directed the black culture in a certain way that led them away from development and more down a path of destruction, because it was leading them into a battle that could never be won. And not only that, it was a trick. It was a type of booby trap in a sense. All right, and this was all done through left movements based in Fabianism. Okay, ideas coming directly out of Tavistock. This is how they took down the French, the exact same way they did Russia. They create these socialist movements to have them be destroyed in their rebellion or revolutions. Revolutions never work. They never have. Protesting never works. It never has. These things have always been controlled opposition from the higher ups, the elite, the real controllers of the society, the ones that own the banks, the ones that fund both sides of wars. Okay, revolution means nothing on this earth, and it never has. All right, the underclasses have always lost, and this is the design. This is Satan's world. This is the way it's going to be. But they have to make you believe that you can win. They have to make you believe that you can fight, when the only way to fight here is spiritually. Let's keep moving.
Another huge blow this year would be the assassination of prominent Black Panther Fred Hampton, officially ending the Black Panther movement of Black liberation. Soon we will see the conversion of the focused, militant, and socially concerned black culture into a smooth operating, jive-spitting, lady pimping, and perm-dripping culture of sin and debauchery, ushered in by a dubious character indeed, Time Life magazine photographer, CIA operative, and film director Gordon Parks. Beginning with 1970, the moral fabric of America was officially torn. The hive mind was shattered, and now full-on dissociation would set in. In 1972, the country was divided, dazed, confused, and subdued. The reaction to the problem of war in Vietnam was achieved, and now the solutions would be formed. New domestic industries, markets, and subcultures had been birthed. America was now a beaten, rebellious, and reckless society, a modern Babylonian sex cult. And the film industry would by design reflect this. The 1972 films like Clockwork Orange and blaxploitation film Superfly would depict this climate of utter depravity perfectly. Speaking of blaxploitation, we encounter the other side of the demise of the civil rights movement. While feminism and gay rights pushed black liberation into the shadows, at the same time, blaxploitation aimed to detract the focus and shatter the reality of the black population as a whole. Hardly a year after the death of Panther Fred Hampton, the blaxploitation era began, officially ending any potential of development in the black community, done so by corrupting the culture, in turn possessing the spirit, and re-engineering an entire people. This all began in 1971 and right out of the Black Panther Party. So let us rewind back to '66 to set up the development. As we discussed in part 2 of the series, Time Life magazine photographer and Office of War Information agent Gordon Parks was assigned the position of documentarian for the Black Panther Party in 1966 under the auspices of the Central Intelligence Agency. In fact, even prior, he had always made a career out of taking visceral and poignant imagery of the Black American experience, though his talents were used for espionage and the covert surveillance of the civil rights movement. A wolf in sheep's clothing, a hired mole, Parks would not only photograph the Black Panther Party, but he would also play as an intelligence agent for the US government, along with numerous other plants within the party like Columbia University man and Jewish leftist fundraiser David Horowitz, whom once the party was dismantled in '69, joined the CIA front publication Ramparts magazine as editor, and today is shockingly a right-wing conservative. Interesting. Horowitz was also an employee for the Peace Foundation of London under Fabian socialist and eugenicist Bertrand Russell. Another prominent agent was Panther member Elaine Brown.
Tupac's mother, she was a CIA op, and a lot of people might not know this or want to believe this, but she was working with the CIA, as were many Black Panthers,
as well as documented FBI agent Richard Aoki of Berkeley University's Young Socialist Alliance. He joined the Black Panther Party in 1966. As a top-level informant, Aoki was commissioned to provide the party with an arsenal of weapons to radicalize the group. At this point, the party took on a much more aggressive and confrontational direction. Prior to Aoki's joining, the Panther Party was innocuous, yet still a communist justice league. They were simply starting school breakfast programs and holding peaceful meetings focused on community building and education. Gordon Parks played a key role in this secret intelligence orchestrated radicalization of the Black Panther Party in Oakland, California. He single-handedly sensationalized the armed and dangerous reputation of the party by making their weapon-brandishing images famous. Parks would produce some of the most significant agitation propaganda of the era, all the while frightening society and demonizing the Black people. While Richard Aoki stoked the ideological flame by inciting violence with endless supplies of intelligence-provided weapons and deep socialist and leftist rhetoric. This would go on until 1969, when the party was officially disbanded with the assassination and brutal murder of Fred Hampton by the FBI. The Panthers were finished, but Parks' career was only just beginning. During this time, he also worked as a consultant of Hollywood productions. This is what we would call today an intelligence liaison, like Chase Brandon, for example. Secret intelligence has always been directly connected to Hollywood, just as much as it is to the occult. They play as a subversive trinity that has had the ability to construct societies since its inception. So it only makes sense that Parks would develop his career further in Satan's theater.
You got KJ on the beat, you got KJ on the beat.
It's cold in here.
DJ KJ, put that shit down.
I got on water, these diamonds real for sure. You can get killed for sure. My little nigga just looking, he don't even like talking. That's because he done killed before. Put a price on your head, it's over, you done. And they ain't going in, so they empty their guns. We was out trapping till we sing the song. You play, you die, I said in every song, I don't give a fuck. It's 12 pull up, then he shit out of luck. We ain't stopping these trucks. We got the jar, came through back to back, we just lit that shit up. I'm high as fuck, this a combo. I'm on about 3 different drugs. I just met 2 new plugs. Took him down, he wasn't showing no love. Brr, ayy, nah, we ain't showing no love. We gon' pull up, fill a nigga up. Get that boy blood bag, put him in the tub. Cartier hen like sus. Solitary stone, ho, you looking at the plug. Ain't no scraps in the club. It's your man, you ho, you rockin' with a thug. In the rich 250, slang Richard Mille, solo tinted. Can I host the whole my glizzy? Glock hole 50, big extension. Down there half a ticket, net worth 60, oh so glistening.
reefer, some I'm ticking. Glock came with 30s and switches. Ask my auntie Mickey, showed up 50, number 20. Carrots, I got plenty, don't wear pennies, number 10. Nephew deal with Boba, got more chicken than Wendy. I just did a show for 10, took my daughter to Lenny. I was never the rapper, my nigga was rapping. I'm the one that was snatching, pull over with them choppers. How this your nigga, but you sent them out? Bitch, you know I be scrapped, why the fuck you ain't stop? I seen my old teacher said I would've been dead by now. When he say me, it shocked him. He dropped the dish, that shit ain't even get across the street. When them folks sink them, they just pop them. Chewing on Percocets, I almost missed my flight. I just fell asleep in the lobby. Look at my ass, you gon' see murder and blood. I been thinking about my Uncle Bobby. Plain Jane, but I got on water. Cause you know these diamonds may go for that. Say he did this and that, we won't go for that. Why you snitch on your nigga, you a hoe for that. I'm sorry. They let out some shots, it sound like a Glock. We let out some carbons. Better think before you try it, cause we got them glosses you thought about robbing. My young nigga retarded. They be breaking the news, they ain't without that arguing. It's a me and B30, we rolling broccoli like some gardeners. I got on water, these diamonds real for sure. You can get killed for sure. My little nigga just looking, he don't even like talking. That's because he done killed before. Put a price in your head, it's over, you done. And they ain't going in till they empty they guns. We was out trapping till we see the sun. You play, you die, said in every song, I don't give a fuck. If 12 pull up, then he shit out of luck. We ain't stopping this truck. We got the drop, came through back to back, we just lit that shit up. I'm half on this combo, I'm on about 3 different drugs. I just made 2 new plugs, took him down, he wasn't showing no love.
He continued his exploitation of black life by producing a successful series of documentaries based on ghetto life called The Learning Tree that same year of '69, becoming Hollywood's first major black director. By 1971, Parks had spawned the most vile and detrimental film genre to date, blaxploitation, with breakout film Shaft. While Parks became a legend and pioneer of a genre, with the help of Jewish writers and production studios and foundation funding, of course,
Now, you heard the funding of Jewish people are always in the middle. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at Hidden Colors, just like I told in Hidden Colors when I had I wrote, it was about 2 or maybe 3 years ago. I did a video back in 2015 where I was showing people that I had no problem with the Jewish people putting the information out there. I had a problem with the fact that black people who are holding Tariq Nasheed to a higher level and not calling them out on the fact that, why would you have Jewish people editing your film, choreography and all of this different shit, casting and everything? Why would you do that when you could just do it with black people? There's black people who edit, you know, there's editors that are black. There's choreographers who are black. You know, cinema photographers that are black. You don't have to go get Jewish people, but that's about it. Like, you have to get them involved in order to make your vision a possibility in most cases. And so far in this situation here, just like when Tommy Sotomayor, his whole riff with Tommy was that he wanted to mention that the Jewish people were the one who funded the slave trade. The European slave trade wasn't possible without the money from those people. Nothing is done for free. You can get people to do the work, but for everything to become an idea or become an actual establishment where something is going on, it has to be funded. And that's what he just mentioned. And because of that, he don't like Tommy no more. But notice he never really addressed it. And when he addressed it, somebody asked him, he said that he's trying to get me to say something to make me perceived to be anti-Semitic. Interesting.
destroy the prosperity of a culture by utilizing a powerful mind control medium like entertainment to redefine and re-engineer an entire population of people. Blaxploitation would go on to attack modesty, righteousness, and all things pure and good within the nature of black behavior. Its modification would take a disturbing turn from 1971 forward. Interestingly, he was used by the same organizations that funded and directed the civil rights movement. Many Jewish organizations abandoned the civil rights movement once it ceased and went on to Hollywood to produce blaxploitation cinema, like Herbert Marcuse of the Frankfurt School. an integral part of the Black Panther movement and communist-driven New Left agenda in general. Marcuse also would go on to play a big role in the development of certain types of film in Hollywood. Theodore Adorno as well. The Frankfurt School intellectuals went directly from the academic realm to the entertainment realm to help stir the pot. And well, the rest is history. Just turn on your TV today, look at any current series on the internet, Netflix, big budget cinema, any of it and all of it. We might say it was pretty bad then. Well, look how far it has come.
Who remember the line from Public Enemy when it was like, fuck him and John Wayne? Who remember that? And when Professor Griff, a member of Public Enemy at the time, he mentioned something about the Jewish people and they were forced to kick him out the group. And you just saw that John Wayne is actually a Freemason. And not because somebody put a title by his name. Go look it up. Do the research. Don't believe nothing you hear right here. Go look up everything. Before I just showed this video, I did my research before I thought to present it to the world.
Mind control programming and entertainment, soul-sucking garbage. Hollywood appears to be a CIA, Jesuit, Jewish alliance forged as an apparatus for social conditioning over a long-term trajectory. And granted, with many foreign silent investor partners included. This alliance indeed predates the film industry. It goes as far back as the Crusades. Guess who were the financial advisors for the knights in shining armor and red crosses? And we are aware of the coalition between the Crown and Vatican City. Though the CIA came out of the OSS, well, the OSS was a descendant of British intelligence, which goes directly back to the witch John Dee, the original 007. Further connecting intelligence, the occult, and stagecraft media entertainment. Back to Gordon Parks. By 1972, and in typical fraternal brotherhood fashion of the elite, nepotism kept the blaxploitation genre moving swiftly. A genre that I consider an intelligence-manufactured MK Ultra program, most likely cooked up in the Tavistock Institute. Gordon Parks Jr. would release the silver bullet film that defined the genre, Superfly. It was released in 1972 and started the pimp and hoe, smoke and blow culture of the 70s. One that would continue for decades and is still very live and well today. As Gordon Sr. passed the torch, his son would drive the dagger a bit deeper into the hearts of a culture with his smash hit and cult classic, Superfly, where drugs, violence, and lust became fashionable and endearing, and of course striking a fierce dialectic politically in society by sexualizing and objectifying women on screen during the height of the women's liberation movement, which was also the same time as the height of the sexual revolution. 1972 strangely produced the strongest feminist movement and objectification of women media productions all in the same year. Another excellent example of agitation propaganda, and especially when you confirm that the CIA was, for one, behind the formation and guidance of the feminist movement, and two, behind the production studios that were releasing consecutive smut material, like the early adult film Deep Throat that took in 1 million at the box office that year. The book Joy of Sex was a bestseller, and Playboy was a lead publication nationwide. Interestingly, the feminist movement focused on support of lesbianism and denouncement of female sexualization. Yet it simultaneously promoted free love and irresponsible sexual relationships for women. Not to mention, blaxploitation films shamelessly promoted prostitution, rape scenes, and black women as harlots and swindlers. Yet the same year, the first black woman in history ran for president, Shirley Chisholm. If one wants to seriously screw up the mental state of a society, this is surely one way of doing it. Blaxploitation films would continue.
Shirley Chisholm was also a Boule member, by the way.
Continue and increase in their depravity throughout the decade. Notorious films like The Mac would solidify pimp culture and drug dealing in the inner cities. Actress Pam Grier and her films like Coffee and Foxy Brown would indoctrinate women with a Jezebel spirit that is still extremely prevalent today and cannot be missed anywhere in Hollywood or the entertainment industry. To add to this, the blaxploitation film genre set the precedent for a very lucrative sex trade and prostitution industry. Though it always existed, blaxploitation films glamorized it, made it part of the culture, and the music industry would assist in this glamorization. To be accurate, Parks cannot actually take credit for creating the first blaxploitation film. In fact, it was first done by a lesser-known, independent producer named Melvin Van Peebles, with his sloppy and perverse film Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, which was no more than a sad excuse for a black liberation flick that relied on sex, vulgarity, and violence to retain viewership. Brazen and cheap, it opened with a graphic pedophile scene, as well as a typical black buck sex scene that foreshadowed the adult industry that was getting ready to take off in a few years. And again, the nepotism continued with his son's work, Mario Van Peebles, who would later continue the debasing legacy of Van Peebles Sr. by creating a new age blaxploitation era of his own with his cult classic film New Jack City in 1991. Which set the stage for many other hustler and thug films that complemented the gangster rap industry wave of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Coincidence? I think not. So blaxploitation has never ended and is as alive and well as it was in 1972. But in 72, things were just forming, and new waves of cultural influence were being created for very little money, but at the spiritual expense of millions. Blaxploitation became a cold-blooded social weapon, and as Curtis Mayfield quoted, a commercial for cocaine, settling the precedent for an up-and-coming adult film industry and lucrative drug market, especially the cocaine market, that would hit its peak in 1977 and wreak havoc into the 80s with crack. Blaxploitation films would take a historical seat in the archives of classic social engineering media, feeding into the debasement of culture and the proliferation of the prison industrial complex. Once again, by establishment intelligence and foundation-funded production studios, blacks were used to not only destroy themselves, but to create demonic culture and assist in the demoralization of a nation. And the 70s is where it all took place.
And it goes further to, and it just continued down to Spike Lee and John Singleton with Boys in the Hood, and the famous movie Colors, which started the gang rise and hip-hop movement that started decay of black culture through groups like NWA. Hollywood music, television created the black culture and culture in general, but we have to understand that black culture was used to bring in a whole lot of very distasteful and destructive ideals, and it was done through entertainment, as it always is. And on top of that, another thing that happened in the 70s that I didn't touch on was the idea of materialism, consumerism. All right, cars, clothes, and fashion. These things became popularized and became part of the black culture. I mean, before this blaxploitation, blacks weren't really into all of that. So you hear studies now saying the black population is the biggest consumer in the nation, and all of this consumerism and superficial kind of showy, flashy mentality that blacks have tended to develop come out of the blaxploitation era. And isn't it interesting that the writers, well, some of the main writers, especially in the beginning, the most famous of the writers of these blaxploitation films were Ashkenazis, Cohen, for instance. We understand this was a design. This is culture creation. This is social engineering done through Hollywood. We can look at the works of Aldous Huxley and Plato himself, who both spoke about the importance of theater, the arts, and music, and how any type of mind control could be implemented through these concepts. Anything you would want a group to believe, or any way you would want a group to act, you can get them to believe or act any way through the arts, through music. And this is what they did with blaxploitation, and also implemented into soul music and funk music. Blacks were a lot different 30 years prior, but once these movements hit, the culture was shaped and it became solidified and spread across the nation and the world. Soul, funk, disco era, all these things destroyed the development of the black culture. Sports stars blew up, basketball, football. Okay, pipe dreams comes out of all of these things. Distractions, socially stagnant. And these things shaped a generation. Blaxploitation and the works of the 70s shaped a generation. And as we stated earlier, arresting development, culture, identity creation. This is all about the identity here. This is how the black culture was created, through blaxploitation. All right, which originated in blackface. We can look at blackface of way back. That was the start, but it really came into fruition during blaxploitation with the use of Hollywood and screens. Okay, the morals and the important ideals to the black people were tainted through blaxploitation. Okay, and the minds and spirits of the black population was destroyed even more through the crack era. Okay, destruction of families, putting the fathers in jail, putting the mothers under pressure, which would in turn hurt the children's development. It's just like a domino effect. Okay, and so yeah, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s really took a toll, and it led right into the 90s, okay, which just continued the decay. Because what came in the 90s, hip-hop really started. Well, hip-hop started in the late 70s, but it didn't really start to really blow up into the late 80s and into the 90s, where once NWA came out, which also was an Ashkenazi creation and CIA funded and operated movement. NWA and the whole thug criminal programming just literally destroyed any form of development that was still left, was destroyed by this group. And the prison industrial complex and eugenics and family destruction just really came in and kicked down the door. And it's pretty much been over since then, because it's just been an absolute downward spiral ever since. It really infuriates you when you really think about it, when you think about how all of this has developed, and you look at the black culture now and you see the predicament that they're in and where things are at. And when you understand the history and the development of it, it makes complete sense. So this is why black people are where they're at, by design. And again, there's no one to blame for this stuff. This is all prophecy. We get it. We understand that. There's no one to blame, because the Most High is running the show. This is Satan's world. We get that. So gangs came out of Masonic and civil rights. Basically, it's Masonic and civil rights residue. So these gangs turned into huge sets of all kinds, but they all came out of the Black Power movement. So we see how the Black Power movement, which was destroyed and infiltrated by COINTELPRO and was always controlled from the beginning through fraternal orders and masonry, we see them morph into gangs, which become another way for black men to be killed and to kill each other. So you find all these people complaining about, oh, well, blacks kill each other. You know, why if you think Black Lives Matter, you know, why are blacks killing each other? Well, let's look at the history. Let's see the development. All right, let's see how these things were created through culture creation, through design. There's nothing biological or natural about any of these movements. I mean, they've all been designed. And how? Well, promotion, advertisement. Gangs have always been advertised. See, once these gangs were created and became a big deal, they may have started through revolution, but they became popularized through what? Through music. Okay, through music and film. We have the film colors. That really started a huge growth in the functions of gangs that peaked in 1991. And you know, in around 91, 92, we had Ice-T with the whole cop killer movement, which started a whole big thing, which was a product of Time Warner. And I mean, it's I'm really just trying to put it out there to give a broad idea of how all of this came to be. The whole gangster mentality, the whole thug thing that has been just connected to the black man and the black culture, and the whole idea of how black women have been perceived also go along with these stereotypes that come out of blaxploitation, that come out of black films, which were originally written by Ashkenazis and different types of elite groups, okay, that were never in the interest of blacks, though blacks didn't have much. So, you know, we went along with things, and little did we know they were not in our best interests. We've all been corrupted through this satanic system of social engineering mind control. All right, so you see all your favorite actors, your favorite singers and the sport athletes, they're all in it to destroy you. And for those out there, hey, I might be preaching to the choir. I understand that, but I'm reestablishing these things.
To be a straight up menace,
Yeah, I hope I don't get copyright infringement for playing MC8 that little bit of time that I did play it. And yeah, so you know, in closing, a lot of this stuff is really a lot deeper. Like, one thing I can respect about the brothers, he went way deeper into the cause, meaning that everything is a design system. Jewish people that actually run the banks, that's like the design. It's kind of like they give you the kickstart, all right? And the kickstart is just that, and everybody else does the work. It's kind of like you work for an establishment. You probably will never see the person that owned the establishment ever in your life. Like, the owner of McDonald's will probably never walk into the location you work at ever in your life. You could work there 20 years. You probably will never see the actual person who started it. Well, not more so started, but the family member that kind of, you know, passed the ownership down and the controlling and, you know, funding and financial, you know, backing behind it. You'll never see those people. You probably see no more than general manager. At best, you'll see general managers, and that's it. So what I'm gonna do is give me a second here. All right, so we take that down. Let me make sure I had it set up to where I could just do this a lot easier. Let's add a source here. All right, new conversation, HP Hangout. All right, boom, new group. Enter the name of the group. Bam. All right. Let me add myself because I got to be able to use my headset here. All right, back over here. Web page. Okay. It's not there. Okay, I did this before. How did I do it last time? Alright, let's try this one more time. Secure. Let me invite myself here. I don't even know what email it is. What email am I using this under? Let's delete that. Yeah, it's under my main email. So let's join the call here. Let's get that out the way. Let me invite myself. Alright, let me see here. Okay. Bear with me, y'all. Hangouts. Alright, let's clear that. Let's clear that out the way. There you go. Alright. I'm already here. Main accounts. Main accounts. New group. Name of the group. HP. Alright. Alright, I'm logged in. New group. HP. Alright. Give me a second here. Look, I did this last night and I don't know what's going on here. Name of the group. HP. Alright, here we go. Alright, put your email in the chat and we're going to bring everything here. So let me know you want to be added in. I'll add you into the Hangout. I got a few minutes, maybe 20, 25 minutes to have a quick discussion about the video. Alright, so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to figure this shit out. Because I did it yesterday, but I don't remember how I did it where I could be able to control everything because I don't have a headset to do everything like I want to do it. Like I could just do it directly if I had a headset, but I don't want the feedback. And what you just heard was the feedback, but I had fixed it to where it didn't feedback at all. So I can't figure out how to do that. And that's why I said I'm kind of handicapped on this thing. So let me see. Give me a second here. Yeah, I might have to. What I'll do is I'll do a late night show tonight where we'll do a hangout, and I'll be trying to figure this shit out while I'm at work. Later on, in about another hour, I'll learn exactly how. Hangout audio editing. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to do it, and then do it to where there's no feedback. But I do know how to do a hangout. I just don't want to do it the way it needs to be done. That's why this whole layout has nothing to do with Google Hangout. And that's how it used to be, where you could just bring people in and get to talk. So I have to figure out how to run the hangout, put it up here. No, that way. My bad. Is it this way? This way. I got to make sure I do that right. The hangout screen will be up there because I practiced it to see how it looked, but I got to figure out why it's feedback. And so in the meantime, we'll double back later on tonight when I'm off work. Overnight, we'll get into the hangout discussion. If not tonight, first thing in the morning on Monday. In the meantime, leave me your thoughts. And I got to get up out of here. Leave me your opinions if y'all have anything to discuss about it. Anything y'all want to add to it, we can talk about it tonight or first thing in the morning. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And make sure y'all spread the information because this video is probably one of the most important videos that even our children need to learn for real. So, and trust me, it's bigger than just the white man. That's why I always used to say that, and people are like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. I'll be like, dude, it's bigger than that. Trust me, it's a lot bigger than that. And I'm gonna try to get me a better lighting where y'all can see me a lot better. Y'all can't really see me. Not that it's important, but you know what I mean? See? Boom, see? I'm dark, man. You know, I can't help that. But anyway, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And y'all be easy. Y'all have a good Sunday afternoon, good Sunday evening. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And we out.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel by hitting the red subscribe button and then hitting the notification bell. If you have problems receiving notifications, make sure you unsubscribe and then hit the resubscribe button and hit the bell again. Below you have playlists of many things from the past, such as the What's the Business series, the POF Experience series, and the Memory Lane series as well as past Vision playlists. Also, there's 2 new channels to subscribe to. My son's gaming channel for Life Gaming. And make sure you keep up with everything dealing with Huggie Pacino. This is Huggie Pacino for the Huggie Pacino Effect. Thank you for your support. And if you wish to donate,
Right, we going. What a money reside, what a money reside, what a money reside, what a money reside.
Now that's Huggie Pacino certified.